Hello and welcome everybody. Today is the day 14 of our Smart 25 Days Challenge, and today we are going to make an outpass management system. And I guess all of you must be knowing, or all of you must have used the outpass system. So basically, what this helps the universities keep track of the students coming into the university or leaving the university or campus for some specific reason. So we would be implementing that same system using the smart contracts. So let us now begin and let's start. First of all, we will create a file called as, let us call this outpass management only. Yes. So so in this smart contract, what we are going to do is, first of all, we need to create a struct called as outpass only. Okay, so we would be creating a struct first of all, and that struct would be containing all the details regarding an outpass, such as the student's address and the time at which he or she would have created this request for the outpass, and whether the outpass is approved or rejected, so details like that. So let's start. So let's call this outpass only. Start with the name outpass. So the fields, the properties which it will contain are as follows: student address, timestamp, whether the outpass is approved or whether it's rejected, and the reason for applying for the outpass. Okay, so that's all with the struct. And after we have created our struct, what we need to do, we will be creating some mappings, and those mappings would be to the first mapping would be to associate the addresses with the outpass, with the array of outpass struct. So what we are going to do is, say, for every student, we would be uh, keeping a track of the number of outpasses which he would have created. Okay, so we would be keeping track of all the outpasses made by him. So that's why we are associating the addresses with the array of outpasses. Okay, in this array of outpass structs, the outpass made by a specific address made by a specific student would be stored. I guess I'm very much clear. If you have any doubt, then you can ask me out in the comment section, or you can even connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Okay. So the other mapping would be to check whether a particular address is either a warden or not. So we would be making some addresses as wardens who would be responsible for calling out some functions and all. So authorized personalities would be wardens only for this system. And now let us create some events. Okay. So these events we are creating to let the external entities know what's happening. First one would be outpass has been requested. Okay, outpass requested. Address. Yes, sir. Okay. Then outpass approved. Whether the outpass have been approved. we would be indexing that to by student's address only. Student address, timestamp. And in the case of the event, in the case when the outpass is rejected, okay. So in the case of outpass rejected, we would be taking a reason also from the warden that why he or she decided to just reject the outpass request. So in the approval, it was still timestamp only. So if in the case of an outpass being rejected, we will take a reason from the warning. Okay. Outpass request is the case when the user will request for the outpass. Okay. So we would be using these events in our smart contract. So we also need to make a uh, modifier so that we may not have to repeat the same line of required condition or same line of code again and again. Warden. Okay, in the warden's mapping, sender should be true. Okay, but yes, this person is the warden. Otherwise, we will say that caller is not a warden. Okay. So our modifier is complete. Okay. And now let's make a constructor to first of all initially assign a warden. So in the warden's mapping, we will say message.sender to be true. And constructor is a special function. I have told you before also in my previous videos. This will get executed only once at the time when the contract would be deployed. So the person who would be deploying this contract would be made as a warden. Okay. So now after this, let's move on to our functions. So let's start creating our functions. And the functions which we would be making in this smart contract would be, first of all, we need to have a function for this warden to add other wardens. Okay, also because see there, when the institute is a large institution, so there is a requirement for more than one warden. So that's why we would be creating a function to add wardens also. Then what we other functions we would be creating, where the other functions are clearing itself, such as the first one would be the second one after this add warden function. The second one would be to request for the outpass. Okay. So for requesting an outpass, we would be creating a function. Another function would be to approve the outpass, and the fourth function would be to reject the outpass. And when we have created those functions, so we would be creating some helper functions or some other functionalities, but these are the most important functions for this smart contract. So let's get back to our add warden function, and the parameters which it would be taking are warden address, okay, address, and that's it, public only warden can call this at this address, make this as okay, it looks fine. Then another function would be to request the outpass. Okay. And making it external. So we would be making a function at the last, and that function would be to check whether this participant, this person making the request has already an ongoing smart contract. Sorry, not smart contract, ongoing request for the outpass or not. Okay. So, but let us make this, or we'll keep this check at the last only after we have created the function. So, uh, what this function would be doing is this function would be creating this, assigning the outpass struct the values, and then so we would be creating a new outpass struct and assigning that some values, and then associating that with the mapping outpasses. Okay. So this we have done in the previous videos also. So if you guys have any confusion, or if you are not able to follow anything, then please watch my previous videos. There I have explained everything in detail. Okay. So would be, so these properties we are assigning the values to them. Timestamp would be block dot timestamp. Okay. And is approved would be initially it would be false. Then is rejected also false. Then reason would be that reason provided by the, okay. It's yes. So after this we would be, we would be associating this side dot push minimum plus. So what has happened here is, so we have created a new outpass struct and assign some values to that. Okay. So when someone calls this request pass outpass function, he would be providing a reason with that. So as soon as he calls this function, a new outpass struct would be created, and in that struct the values we have assigned, the student address would be the message.sender only, the timestamp would be block.timestamp is approved. Initially it would have, so initially it's not approved, so it's false. It's not yet rejected or approved, so it's rejected also false, and the reason would be the reason provided by the user, by the function caller. Okay. So and after we have created this new struct, what we are doing there here is, we are associating, okay, this our outpasses, this is the mapping our called as outpasses, and in this mapping we have addresses as the keys, and as the values we have array of outpass structs. So we are first of all accessing the, okay, we are retrieving the array associated with a particular address. Okay, this is the key, and with this key, message.sender as the key, we are accessing the array associated with the this which with this address, and then we are what we are doing that after this after retrieving the array of outpass structs, okay, we are pushing a new outpass into that array. Okay, I hope I am very much clear. This part is basically retrieving the array of outpass structs, okay, in the outpasses mapping associated with this particular address. Outpasses array, array of outpass structs is being retrieved by this part, and then what we are doing here is we are pushing a new outpass struct into that array. Okay, so let's now emit the event called as outpass requested. Okay, so address would be message.sender. Log.timestamp. The reason. Point by user. Okay, so this function is complete. So now let's make the second function, the third function. Okay, the function to approve the outpass. Approve outpass. Address. Only warden will have the authority to call this function, and then some required conditions. So we are just now adding some checks here. Okay, make sure everything is correct. Student address. Okay, our passes student address then should be greater than 0. Or not, sorry, not greater than 0. Okay, student's length. Okay, the length of this array associated with a particular address will be greater than the the index provided by the user. So that means that the warden should not be able to provide any other index, okay, any index which is greater than the length of the array associated with the particular student, which means that the outpass is not yet there. So for to avoid any mistake, so we say the error message would be invalid outpass index. Another required condition would be student address. That's approved should be false. Otherwise, we will say outpass or will be approved. Another required condition will be a modification of this is rejected. Okay. Then if all the checks pass, then we would say you would approve the warden would approve the outpass. Dot is approved comes to. Okay, I hope this line is very much clear. In this line, what we are doing is the outpasses mapping is being talked about here. Okay, we are accessing this and then with the student address as the key. Okay, this address is the key. We have retrieved the array of outpass. Okay, outpass is struct array of outpass struct, and that struct we are accessing accessing the struct at the index provided by the warden. Okay, so at that event we would be so at that index we would be having some specific outpass struct, and in that struct we are accessing the property is approved. Okay, and making that true. So now let's emit outpass approved. Okay. Student address only. Okay. Yeah. Next. Okay. So I hope I am very much clear till here. So if you are not able to understand anything, then please I would recommend you to watch the that part again, and you would be able to understand that. Yeah, and if you want, you can just ask me in the comments or connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. So after the outpass, approve outpass, we would be creating a function called as, so the function would be mm, reject, function reject outpass, reject outpass, and the parameters would be index and then a result. Result to string answer and public only warning. Okay, ठीक है. Looks good. And the required conditions will be the same only. We'll make it this basically the same only. Instead of approved is rejected. Met. Okay. So our function to reject the outpass is also complete. And after this, what we are going to do is see. So the person, the warden is able to just add other wardens also. Okay. And a person, a student can request the outpass. Till now, we are good. And the warden can approve or the warden can reject the outpass. But the thing is that as we have created this outpass array, okay, this array of outpasses was only to keep track of all the outpasses made by the particular student associated with a particular student. So, for to help that to access the other outpasses made by the particular student in the past. So what we are going to do is we would be creating uh, we would be creating a function to get all the outclasses of that particular student. Classes address student non-public only warden, because we do not want anybody to just check our outpasses or the reason for our outpasses. So that's why we would only allow the warden and out array memory. Okay. And simply return outpasses associated with the particular student address. Okay, looks good. And that's all that we need to do in this function. Okay, so But one more thing is here, if you are able to understand till now, so you must have got the idea that how the warden would be approving a particular outpass. Okay, so he would be providing a index here. But the thing here is that after some time, what will happen is for each student, there would be so many outpasses associated with him. So we need to make a function to tell the warden, which will help him to know what is the index of his latest outpass. Latest request index. Let's make this also. Yes, public. The required condition should be that he should have some outpass request in the outpasses mapping. You can check student address. So this will help us retrieve the array associated with a particular student, and then the length of that array should be greater than 0. Otherwise, we'll say that no outpass request. Okay, so this is nice till here, and then returns outpasses address dot length minus 1. Okay, looks cool. So we are good to go till here. So after this, as I have told you in the just a while ago, that we would be creating the final function, and that would be whether the person is having an ongoing outpass address, so that he or she may not be able to create multiple outpasses at a single time, or the a particular outpass is only for one time only. Okay, so if you are already having an outpass request, though there is no need or there is no sense in making other outpass requests at that time. So once your first request is either rejected or approved, then you should be able to make another request. So to check that, we are making another function, and this would be an internal function. You only returns boolean. Number is- So what's happening in this line is we are actually retrieving. So in the outpasses array, okay, we are retrieving the sorry, not the array, outpasses mapping. Okay, in this outpasses mapping, what we are doing is in this mapping we are accessing, okay, the with the help of the address, with the help of this student address as the key, we are accessing the outpass array associated with this address. And what we are doing that is we are just in the local, we have declared this local variable, okay, in the memory called as student outpasses, and in this variable we would be storing the value which we are getting from here outpasses a student address. So the array associated with a particular student which we are retrieving here is getting stored into this student outpasses, and that's all what we are doing here. And so that's also array. So that is why we have declared it the outpass array. Okay. So an array of outpass. So argument length would be, so why we have done that is to access the array. Okay. The array associated with a particular address, and so that we would be able to check its length and all. So length would be length. Okay. Yes. Okay. Length is greater than 0. That means you need to check. Uh, so here we have declared a variable called as latest outpass, okay, in the memory of type outpass. And in this variable, what we are storing, latest outpass, we are storing the value of the outpass. Okay, so basically the outpass struct stored at this index length minus one. So this may feel, you may feel a bit confusing here, but you just need to pay a bit attention and you would be able to get it. So what we are doing here is, first of all, in this line, okay, we have retrieved, as just now I told you, the array of outpasses associated with this student, okay, student address. So we have retrieved that and we have stored that into this student outpasses variable. And then we have calculated the length of that array. Okay, so that becomes the array. Okay, this student outpasses or in itself an array. Okay, because it's storing the value of the array of outpass structs associated with a particular address. So that is why this is also an array. And so in here we have calculated its length. If it's greater than 0, so that means that there are some outpass structs in that array. And then what we are doing here is, in this line, we are actually, what we are doing, we are accessing the latest outpass. Okay. And the latest outpass would be the outpass which is stored at length minus one index in that array. And then we have accessed that array using this student outpasses, and by using length minus one we have accessed that element, that outpass struct store which is stored at length minus one, which is the latest outpass struct. And then we have stored that struct into the variable called as latest outpass. And why we have done so is so that we may be able to check that we are what we are checking here is that if some or ongoing request is being going on, if a particular request is going on, so the user, the student should not be able to put another request at the same time when first request is going on. Okay, so I when his request is either rejected or accepted, then he would or she should be able to raise another request. Till then there should be no another outpass request. Was it- Yes. So what's happening? That if the latest output this dot is approved, okay, is false, so it will become true. That okay, it's true because this is the not of. So what value we would be getting from here? Latest outpass dot is approved. So this not operator will reverse it. So for true we would be getting false, and for false we would make it true. And why we are doing so is because we would be using an and condition that if both of them, see, if this is also true and this is also true, so then return the true. And what does that true means? That yes, the ongoing request has been going on. That has ongoing outpass. That this student is already having an request going on for the outpass, because till now neither the request has been approved and neither the request have been rejected. That means that it is still in the process and is still going on. And because by default what we have is by default the value of these two booleans, okay, is approved and is rejected, would be false only. So if they are at their default values, so say this is also false, okay. So to make it more clear, let me just comment down. This is also false, and and this latest output, this is rejected, is also false. So what will happen is the not of both of them, not of false and not of this false, will result to be true and true and true. So this value, the value which would be returned would be true, that yes, the student is having an ongoing request. Okay. So if that's not the case, then it will return false, even if one of them is false. Okay. So you know about and condition. So I may need not to explain any further. This false is in the case when, say, there is no outpass at all going on or some other case. So that's why it would be false. In the case when the length is not greater than zero, in the case when it's zero only, so just return false. That the user is not having any ongoing request for the outpasses. Okay. So I guess the contract is now complete. So let's just compile it. Okay. So yes, it gets successfully compiled and deployed. So the first address is the first warden. Say this is the second person. This is the person who wants to create a request. Okay. So what he will do, he will just enter the reason that I want to meet my family or something. Okay. That's why he is going out. So he can just request that. Okay. And now the warden can just approve or reject his request. Okay. So he need to first of all know the address of that student, and you can check. Okay. So the warden is this address only. So yes. So the warden would be able to retrieve the details. Okay. And to know the index of the latest instruct, you will just enter the address and see, you will get 0. That means that this is his only first outpass instruct, and that is he wants to meet his family, and you can check the values and say this person only wants to now again put a request while his first request is going on, but maybe due to some error or something, he just tries to again make a outpass. So what will happen? Just let us enter test2 and see what will happen. Okay. So okay. So This gets successfully executed. Okay. It's good that I have just now checked it. Okay. So, actually, the required condition which I told you, we have not yet completed that. Okay. So that's why it got successfully executed. And now what we need to do is we need to just complete our required condition which we had left. Okay. So let's now just complete that. We'll say that an ongoing of pass request is already there. So let's just deploy it again. Okay. So let's just refresh it. Compile, then deploy. Okay. So I hope it will run properly with all the features. So say the user wants to create any request. Need I want to attend a family function. Okay. So yeah, you can see this. Okay. So the warden can check this first address is the warden. Okay. This is because this address deployed this smart contract. So and he will check. Okay. So he will check that okay. So he need to attend a family function and blah blah all. So he can just check and to know the latest. Okay, so this is his first step only. That's why its index would be 0. So this same user which I just was trying just now. Okay, so this same user, this same student, just try to make another request. Okay, while his first request is going on, neither the warden has accepted it nor he has rejected it. So now what? Let's see what will happen. Okay, so the error message and ongoing outpass request is already ending as it should be. Yes. Okay. So small typo, and that's pretty fine. Okay, and now say some other person also places a request and all that I want to go home and some for some party or say anything. So he will just create a request. Okay. So now if the warden will want to see the outpass text, okay, for this second address, okay, this is the first student, this is the second student, and for the first student, say let's check if the warden wants to check, he will just see, okay, and he can just okay, let me just make okay, yeah. So we have not selected the warden's address, and now the warden wants to check. Okay, so he will be able to know all the details, and then he can just approve. Okay, so for approving, he will just provide the address here along with the index of the outpass that is 0. So he will just I 0. Okay. So in this manner, you can just click on transact and then you can again check the is approved. This field is approved has become true. Okay. So that means that his request is now approved. So for the for the second student, now similarly for the second student also, the warden can check. So the warden can just enter and he can check. Okay. So you can approve or reject in the same manner. So that's all from my side, guys. So this was the Outpass Management Smart Contract. I hope that you must have learned something from this. And if you guys have any doubts, then please ask me out in the comment section. And there, I would just recommend you to play with it and to try out adding some other functionalities of you can even change the implementation of some functions as you may like. So that's all from my side. We'll meet again on the day 15. Till then, bye bye.